Hey, Rolling Out family. Today we're tapping in with a true force of Chicago's media and music scene. Cordaro, Cody, McKee, a visionary behind What's the Word? From amplifying local talent to shaping conversations around culture, Cody has built a platform that moves the city forward. We're excited to sit down with him and talk about his journey, the impact of What's the Word, and what's next for one of Chicago's leading voices in media. Cody, what's going on, brother?
What's going on with your brother? How you feeling?
Man, I'm excited to talk to you, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I appreciate your patience. I know we were supposed to get this in a while back, but also I probably appreciate your patience, man.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. So let's start at the beginning. What inspired What's the Word?
What inspired What's the Word? Great question. It's just to give people without a voice a voice. Like I said, I started a publication back in 2011 in Carbondale, Illinois, when I was in college. That was my sophomore year in college. And it all started because I just wanted to give the Blacks campus like a voice, like give the students, let the students know what's going on, how they can get in tune with different activities, and then just give different curators a space to display their talents, started off with interviews, covering campus events, even had a web series where I like was the first shot where I gave a lot of local talent a chance to be an actor, even people that was in like the College of Communication, like they was their major, like they got a chance to be in an active series while they was in college, and like work on their acting skills and stuff like that. So I think that's, to answer your question, that's what inspired What's the Word.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how's the platform evolved since 2011, and what are some of your biggest milestones?
So the platform evolved because it had so many, that's an interesting question, because it had so many faces, so many entities, and so many focus over these past 14 years. Mm-hmm. So if I could say anything, we've tried so much. I never like to say I say we, but we've tried so much throughout the years. And I think now where it evolved to where it started. So right now it's actually like it's in simplest form, it's back to its roots of just being a platform and being a resource instead of, and like bring different people on to let them elevate their skills and get their voice. So
I love how you put that, because I think that's what's so dope about the platform in itself, because it does provide that space for us specifically, and a lot of the Chicago scene when it comes to the music and the culture as a whole. In terms of the impact that the platform has made,
I say people be saying that. I don't really be seeing it. They be saying that.
No, it's true, bro. Like, in terms of the platform in itself, what kind of impact do you feel like What's the Word has had on the Chicago music and media scene?
Type of impact I feel like it had. I feel like the impact it had was that it allowed the everyday person to get more of insight on new artists. When I say, because majority of our audience, our fans, so we're not on this journey. Like I remember when we first started getting notoriety and getting traction and getting that respect, people was trying to compare us to like Andrew Barber. And shout out to Drew, that's a great guy. Definitely a person that put on for Chicago hip hop.
For sure.
Media. But the difference between us and Drew was Drew following and fans to strictly music. I don't know too many people that know about music, rap, and stuff like Andrew does. Like, and he's really, he's one of them, right?
He's a historian for sure. Shout out Drew.
Like he's like the music, like what are the music version of Dilla, how Dilla is with the Chicago historian. If Drew can probably do a fact or something that you didn't know every day on his Twitter. So Drew's is he's like a GOAT. Like you got to give him his flowers. But he's strictly just like the music of it, and then obviously the history behind the music. What we done as a publication is just hip hop, not as a music, but just Black American culture, Black and brown American culture. So that's from the way we talk, the way we dress, that's the sports, that's the community stuff, That was the culture conversation, the conversations that we have. Like right now, even the simplest one is 100 people versus a gorilla. But when we start talking about like just, how we have these cultural bases that just be with us and then we understand, like it's a platform for that, but it's a Chicago platform. It's like, but we could talk about everything outside of Chicago. Because, you know, they say Chicago people like when they go places, all they talk about is Chicago. I believe with this platform, it allows people that's not from Chicago to understand that, okay, we love our city, but when it comes to just media and just knowledge of what goes on in the world outside of Chicago, people in Chicago are very knowledgeable, and we are some of the most dopest people, you know what I'm saying, walking on this planet. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like the platform does.
Indeed. You know, I appreciate the fact that the approach is cultural as opposed to just the music. However, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about this list you just put out.
Okay, talk about the list. Get to the
The
list.
top 25 artists of Chicago. And you even had people who didn't make the list make a diss song about you. Let's talk about that list, what that list means to Chicago, and how'd you feel about that diss song?
The first time we got this, so I like it. I like it. I feel like as the owner and, you know, the kind of like the most, not most known, because Bree is known as, you know, saying probably more popular than me, but like being one of the most known on the platform, people always want to try to attack me, but I got to give the flowers to the staff, because like the Chris's, the Pretty K's, the Doras, the Noahs, like the Clip, like all of these people were very instrumental in Chelsea too, like Chelsea, of putting a list together. You know, even when we got the final list and how I position, because I do most of the graphics. I love graphic design and art. Mm-hmm. So I did that particular graphic. So as I'm doing that graphic, and when I sent it to the team, like, okay, this is what we came up with, our voting system, everything. These are like the final artists, and this is how we have a place. And just even from like somebody like Chelsea, like, nah, that it looked on paper, we spent it like this, but we got to do it like move this like this. You know what I mean? This artist, if you think about it, looking at it, this artist ain't really higher up than this. Is but my team was like really instrumental in making sure we got it right, from the picking of the artists, how we displayed them, how we placed them. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them for that. But the diss song with Rue, man, like that's, like I said, we got this so many times. So I like it. I think it definitely gives them maturity in Chicago music, because it allows, you know, everything ain't got to be violent. It's like, you know, if you don't like something, do it like how they used to do hip hop back in the day, put it on wax. So I like that. So it was fun. Yes. So that's why I supported it. Like, yo, as soon as I saw, I'm like, yo, posted something, man. Like, let's support, bro. You know, that's what this platform is about.
Yeah. Definitely. You know, we've done something similar in the past, just, you know, showcasing specific artists specific to Chicago, because for some reason, you know, over the years, there really hasn't been a lot of focus on Chicago artists, yet a lot of some of the best artists, some of your favorites are from the city. You know, what are your thoughts on the current state of the Chicago music scene?
Oh, the current state. I think it's in a good place. I think it's in a good place. I think it's in a place where I think every music scene had a place where you was hot and just stuff was just coming out. Raw talent coming out, no structure, because you know, I always say the Chicago music scene itself to me is young. It's like 15 years young, right? Mm-hmm. We talking not to discredit none of the guys and girls that like the Brats and the Twisters and the Kanye's that comments that broke through. But when they, to me, and as a person that lived in it, it doesn't feel, when they broke through, it felt like they broke through as individuals. You know, talent. Some of them didn't even live in Chicago when they was like made their fame. It was like it still wasn't no industry, right? To put it that way, it wasn't like top level executives, production companies that was moving through the city, like that was helping artists. So that's why you see, I'd say that the industry is young. So I want to throw that out there, right? Mm-hmm. So when I say that, I feel like every wave from Atlanta to LA to New York, when they had their waves where stuff was just coming out raw talent. For us, that was like the Keefs, the Durst, the Cowboys, the Juice WRLD. It's like you was good. We're that talented where when anybody hear us with this internet, we gonna blow. And I think Chicago always had that. But when I say 15 years young, that 2010, 2011 is when the internet first started popping. So now the world gets to see what goes on in Chicago. Right. But before then, we had to move and go like different places to get seen. Right. So now we hit that bump in the road where every market had to figure it out when it went hot. They had to figure out how to do artist development. They had to figure out how to maintain the relationship. That's how you build the industry, because now you got to maintain a relationship, because, you know, everything ain't, you got to actually build something instead of, I want to say, riding a wave or just catching the wave of something that's hot, what a lot of us do, you know, like, this artist is hot, you know what I'm saying, do a situation with them, and we gone. Now everybody in the industry has to build something. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say it's in a good place, is because what we've been missing, and I see a lot of these conversations online, is people say, like, Chicago don't have an industry. Like, Chicago, we need to have the offices like New York and stuff like that. But all that stuff starts, and, you know, maybe one day we will have a Somnia University in Chicago. But I'm cool with us having a No More Heroes, LSD, you know, some of these up-and-coming production companies, the Velcro. I'm cool with us having that, because then that finally gives us that TDE that we need. Yeah. You know, because what I'm talking about is exactly what LA went through. LA went through being one of the hottest music scenes, not for just the weather, but like late 80s, early, you know, 90s, they was pushing them out, right?
Yeah.
They was pushing them out. You know, some of the biggest acts came from Los Angeles, right? And then it stopped.
Yep.
Like the game came, but it stopped. Like we can't. Like when it came to rap, R&B, like talent, you had a lot of people from California that was on, like, that was hot. But when it came down to like rap music, like LA didn't have no wave for a while, right?
Yeah.
But in that time period, it was allowed into something like Top Dog to be born.
Yeah.
To build a system, to build relationships. You know?
Yeah, build something amazing.
Build something amazing. It just takes me back to like the Berry Gordy thing. Like the situation that changed my life was going to go see how Motown in Detroit, just going walk through the house, and how he built that culture, you know, and how he built that system. So I think going back to Chicago, that's what we have right now. We have all these different little small groups. If you go outside, you go out here into these different little small pockets of groups, and they're really just like building. Like that's how you get a Saba.
Yep.
Like he's been building, you know what I mean? Like you see all these different people, and to the untrained eye, they like, man, well, they ain't stars, they ain't on BET yet, but their team is building to the point once their artists get on or once they blow, you can see it. They trained, you know, they already did radio, they got relationships, so they got people supporting them, whatever. Staffing, we just built the ecosystem. Well, now we got new executives, and now we got new A&R that's going to be in the music industry and stuff like that. So we're building out that own pipeline here with structure. So it's like, That's what Chicago is. And with that, when that happens, with all these new resources, Sony ain't gonna wanna have to Sony not gonna need an office. Like you're gonna have all these different production groups that you can go and get a deal with that's gonna take you to something, you know?
Right. So, you know, this word culture keeps coming up, right? What do you think it is about Chicago culture that is so compelling and so different?
I think what I just named, like we just got you can't name one sound. Like I hate that they put the drill to us, but when you go to these different small pockets, I like to talk to my hands on my pockets. But we have all these different groups of people, like different sounds. Like you can't put one thing on us. Like Sinners just came out, and now everybody just remember that Chicago is one of the best blues scenes in the world, if not the best blues scene in the world. So it's like we got so much music here, so it's just like it's dope. I think that what makes our culture so unique, because New York is New York, LA, you know where people from. But even if you come to Chicago, I can tell exactly where you from, because there's something that's different from where you move. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, you know, I've asked so many people from Chicago, and they give me the exact same question. There's no lane that you could say you just can't say Chicago is just a drill city, because this is the same city that Ye came from, right? You can't say Chicago is just a backpacker city, because this is the same city that Saba came from, right? You know, it's so different. I think that's what makes the city special 100%.
We don't have they put drill on us, but we don't have a sound. Like, you know, a West Coast sound beat when you hear it, when something come on, like, yeah, they gonna love that in New York. In Chicago, ain't no sound. Like, you can't say like that's the sound that if I make this type of music, people in Chicago gonna go up. This gonna be a track.
Let me ask you this next, something I wanted to ask you, and this has to do with drill. Could you have told me? Would you have thought that? Let's say 15 years now, right? Oh no. Let's say about 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have thought that Dirk would have been the one to rise to the heights that he has risen to over those years from the start of that drill movement?
Yeah.
So that's interesting because when I see that movement, my thoughts were totally different. Of course, Keith is the godfather, right? People look at him as the godfather. I really expected Keith to be a different type of artist, and I hung my hat on what Herb was doing, but I never like Dirk came out. It's like he came out of the shadows and just took and eclipsed everybody. It just surprised me. What are your thoughts on that?
You can say that. I can see why you say that. I see why you say that. To me, Keith always came down to personality. You know how they say like Prince and Michael Jackson? Like Keith never wanted to be Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Keith just cared about what he cared about, the music, like the sound he was feeling at that, stuff like that, then just dealing with his personal life. And it just shows like he does music when he want to do music, he engaged with how he want to do it. Even he learned how to produce, like he produces his own beats. So it's like to me, that was Keith. Like Keith was to himself. He's that type of person. Dirk is like the underground drill rapper that you can document from performing in the clubs, I never did an open mic, but you know, I go through that little circuit where they doing open mics and they grinding. Dirk was always that. Like Dirk did college tours. Like he did, like if you go through his resume, you see what he does, like what every artist on the grind does. There's no difference from what Dirk was doing. Because they all came up in that blog era. So what Dirk was doing the same thing that like a Drake and J. Cole and all them was doing. They was doing like small shows and college tours and shit like that. Like Dirk was one of them artists that was doing that and dropping music. So we saw him in real time, like consistently dropping projects, doing shows at nightclubs, doing shows at strip clubs, traveling, putting in that work. Like we seen that. So, and when you see that drive, you can know like dude is not stopping. And then with the sound and just the consistency and just that, I just knew Dirk was gonna get to the top because it's just that, like you seen it. So, and that's because me seeing it firsthand. Like Dirk came to my school when I was in college, and to perform at a small nightclub. So those little things when you peep those certain things and you see that draft, like Dirk winning the Grammy didn't surprise me. He's like that, like. Of course, like the same way Saba is, like how Saba is built his career. The difference is that drill street stuff helps elevate your story quicker. But Dirk did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Built a team, and was going through the motion. So, and which don't get talked about or not. Like people think this is an overnight success. Like, it's a story there. Like I would love to see the Dirk biopic.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
and I like that you keep bringing up Saba because it's interesting to see his rise through all of this. Then to him dropping probably one of the best projects of the year right now with these industry heavyweights, right? So I think it's something to be said about this Chicago story, like the Chicago experience. How it's not always about the flash, right? It's more about that work.
When it was particularly with Saba, what makes him like embodies that when it comes to Chicago is that Saba is just he's just a regular, not even regular, he's just a real down to earth, cool guy.
Right.
Like it makes you hard not to support him. And the way he puts together projects and even telling stories about how he got stuff done. I remember him telling a story at his listening party about how, to this last album with No ID, how he stood outside of a Janet Jackson concert or an event just to talk to her so she can clear a record. Like, us holding this project back is for her to clear this record. Like,
right.
But how he's talked to the security guards, like, yo, the security guard brought the manager. Like, yes, like, you know, such and such, I'm doing this project with No ID. Perhaps just the guy, her management team, whoever knew No ID. So like, yeah, let me give him a call. They tapped in, and he was able to get back there, get the conversation rolling, get the information he needed. With this is Janet Jackson, by the way. Right?
Yeah,
this is Janet Jackson, and to get the record clear. But just that humbleness and just that, like, to be doing that at this stage in his career, it's like, yo, I still got to go get it. So that means I have to go out here myself, not my manager, no, like just me, to go meet this lady to get this done. I'm going to go do it as an artist. And I don't care. You know, sometimes in hip hop, people, your perception is everything. So if you're doing something that's grinding, man, that's uncool. Why are you out here trying to get it to it? That ain't cool. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, nah, I'm still that. I'm still knowing that I got loads to live. And it's like, I think that's just a real Chicago people embody it all the time, because we always know we like that humility is there. So it's like I like it. He reminds me a lot of like Derrick Rose. Like Derrick Rose know he's the best, but no part in his career as he always came off as humble as Pooh. Like, you know,
100%, 100%. So you've been around, brother, for 14 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see What's the Word in the next 10 years? What's the ultimate goal for the brand?
The ultimate goal for me is to get into like media education somewhere form, trying to figure out how to just keep a pipeline and resources going for like young Chicago creators to get in the industry. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know the best way to do that is through education. So that's going to be like, that's one of my goals for 10 years. And just continue to be a resource. But of course, I want to pivot into other things. I've positioned myself to start thinking about other avenues because, you know, you do something for so long, you grow and expand. The platform itself is such a gem, is that I want to allow it to keep going, to keep giving those other voices and those other curators a platform, you know? Mm-hmm. And just to be that for this a homegrown thing. So 10 years for What's the Word? What's the Word is still probably going to still be doing what it's doing, but on a way national scale. But for myself, I'll probably be, you know, not hands-on CEO. Might have somebody else doing that. You know what I mean?
All right. I got you. So what advice would you give someone who's looking to follow in your footsteps and build their own platform?
I would say don't. I think that was the deciding, that was the thing that I wish that I had. Like, I wish I had a system and an infrastructure, because that's the Chicago way. Like, everybody want to be the man. We all want to have our own thing, right? We all want to have our own thing. And that kind of messes us up, because that limits our superpowers. That limits us to becoming, I want to say Voltron, the thing, but I know I grew up on Power Rangers, so all the Power Rangers Zoids used to come together. It stops us from doing that, or if you're an enemy, you know what I'm saying, from Goku and Vegeta joining together, you know what I mean? It's like, that stops that, you know what I mean? Because it becomes a competition instead, and we should be collaborating. So I would say don't start a platform. I would say build you as an individual. So if you're a dope camera person, be the best camera person that you can be, right? You know what I mean? Be the best flawless, you know what I mean? Be a good person and build other people's up. If you're a media personality, be the best media personality you can be, and figure out what that means. You know what I mean? From your brand, from how you conduct business and stuff like that. But starting different platforms, no, collaborate.
I love that answer, brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So any upcoming projects or initiatives we should be looking out for?
Nah, nothing too I can speak on right now. I can't speak on right now. We got some stuff in the works. So yeah, nothing I can speak on right now. That's rolling. But make sure y'all subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on our social media. Join our emailing list, you know, so stay connected within our community, because some announcements might be coming down really soon.
Oh, word. Well, keep me in the loop. Cody, brother, thank you so much for joining us today, bro.
Thank you for this interview, man. I was just getting over, as y'all can see, I'm just getting over some bug I had, but I'm like, I gotta make this happen. So,
hey, well, stay hydrated. Hey, yo, big salute to Cordaro, Cody, McKee for pulling up and dropping gems. What's the Word is more than just a media brand. It's a movement that continues to uplift Chicago creators and push the culture. We're looking forward to seeing how Cody and his team keep setting the tone for years to come. This is your man, Precise, and as I always say, stay focused, positive, and productive. Peace. Yeah.